Hey Nesties. All right, so I am hopping on here just to follow up with this comment that was placed in the comment section of my last post where I was talking about the Smith family from Georgia that had the issue with eminent domain and are dealing with that horrifying story. Again, I do encourage people to check that out. So I wanted to help you guys figure out what to do in order to preserve grandma's property, right? Let me just say this. Number one, I am not a financial advisor. I am not a lender. I am a real estate agent in South Carolina, and the information that I'm going to give you is just basic information that I found. You are welcome to fact check this, look some of this information up, and see what you can find regarding this. Don't want to mislead anyone. I want you to also keep in mind that if you are in a different state other than South Carolina, things may vary, so everything is just not all the same, but I'm going to do my absolute best to try and be helpful to you guys out there. So I'm going to break this up. This might be a little bit lengthy, but it should be helpful for someone that's on this app. So first off, well, actually second off, right? Because I just made that disclaimer that I am not a lender or a financial advisor, right? So secondly, let's just say when it comes down to inheriting a property, that is already an emotional process. You're going to have to be facing, legal matters, things like estates, getting those set up, dealing with your local probate, and then also the financial responsibility that comes along with that. So all three of those coupled together is enough, and that's not even including dealing with family members if you are not the only heir. So yeah, that's that part. So let's just talk about what happens when you actually inherit a property. Two things to determine. One, was there a will? 10 out of 10 recommend. A will is definitely going to make the process so much easier. It's going to determine clear lines as far as the distribution of the property, and it's going to make channeling the new ownership a whole lot easier. If there is not a will, the state, whichever you reside in, is going to have to set the guidelines in terms of the distribution for the heirs that are going to, the heir or heirs that are going to inherit the property. So that's going to be based on a state level. I suggest checking in with your local magistrate's office, probate's office, I'm sorry, checking in with your local probate office to get details surrounding that. All right, next subject is if the mortgage was paid off. Now, if the mortgage was paid off, then that is going to make the transferring of ownership a lot more easier and smooth. If there is a mortgage that is still existing and has not been paid off, then the heirs are going to have to be responsible for making sure that that mortgage is paid off in full before it is transferred into the new heir's name. And speaking of heirs, next up is determining if there are multiple heirs or not. Now, if there are multiple heirs, that means that the whole family or whoever is inheriting is going to have a conversation with one another and to decide certain things like how you guys are going to do things. If you're going to keep the property, which even though I'm not your family, I'm voting for to, rent it out maybe, or if you are going to sell the property and decide how the proceeds and everything are going to go. Now, if there is only one heir and there are not multiple heirs, then obviously it's going to be a lot easier for that one person to decide if they are going to keep the property, sell the property, or rent it out. That's going to be up to them at that point. Now, here are a few options that heirs are going to have to decide on if there is still an existing mortgage on the property. So, in this case here, they can decide to continue to make payments on the property. They can decide if they want to refinance the property. And we're going to go a little further into that as we go along to discuss what that part looks like, because refinancing obviously requires qualification. They can also consider selling the property, which y'all already know how I feel about that. And then they can also contact, the lender of the current mortgage to decide what other options that they have there, or let the property just go into foreclosure. And that just don't even make no sense, but hey, it is an option. Now, keep in mind with the refinance option allows an heir to be able to offer buyouts to the other heirs that may not be interested in continuing the ownership of the property. Now, and I won't get too far into the whole refinancing process because that can be a little bit lengthy, but I will say that they do have an option called a cash out refinance that is an option for properties that are fully paid off, but you may need the money to be able to pay out the other heirs on the buyout part. And so, yeah, that is going to be an option also. But I'm going to have to tell you, you're going to need to reach out to a lender directly to get all of the details on that one. And while I don't want to get too far into the whole refinance topic, I do want to say that this is actually one of probably the best options as far as being able to take care of the property, especially when it's like an unexpected new financial burden, if you will. It can be a blessing, obviously, in other ways, but it is still a financial responsibility in itself. But I want to give you guys a couple of reasons why it is a good idea to refinance. One, you may actually be able to secure a lower interest rate. You can either lengthen or shorten the mortgage based on whatever your needs are. And this can actually afford you an opportunity to switch the mortgage type from something that may be perhaps adjustable in terms of the rates to something that is more of a fixed rate option if that's what you need. And this is my favorite one. Tapping into that equity so that you can make improvements to the property in order to preserve it so that it can stay in the family a lot longer. And then also, if this is your situation and you need to consolidate debts, this is an opportunity for you to be able to pull some money out, situate those debts, and then make the payments within the actual mortgage. Now, while all of that sounds great, I know I hinted at this before, but the one thing that we have to understand is that when you are trying to refinance, you just have to qualify. That is something that is a requirement across the board. So, yeah. I don't know. I can't say that this is not going to be a stressor. This may be a situation where it may take you a little bit of time so that you can make sure that your credit and everything is in order before you embark on the refinance process. But yeah, that is going to be a major factor. So, yeah. But this is where I'm going to suggest that you do some lending with a private lender. The major banks are not really friendly with these type of processes and type of refinances. So you're going to want to look for what's called a private lender, the ones that kind of do like those hard money loans and things of that nature. Do a little bit of research on that. I hope this information was helpful to you guys. And I think that should nip that portion of this in the bud. But those are ways that you can get monies to help you preserve and keep grandma's house. So that is it, guys. Sorry, I know it's almost 10 minutes. That is all, y'all. That is the post. Peace. Take care.